We can get started. Okay, so if you're watching this recording, a lot of amazing things happened today. We got to see the new branding of what Plexus and how far Plexus has come. And I showed a lot of my team like what I started with when and got me to senior gold was this packaging. So never ever, Patricia, I'm gonna mute you just for a second. Your birdies are active. I love it. And I told them, I said, y'all, our packaging has come so far. Like, this is what got me to senior gold plus, right? Never ever. If you have the belief, if you have the story, if you have the why and the how to, that's going to get you there and helping build your team and whatnot. Cause like we have come so far from that to where we're at now. Our packaging is absolutely gorgeous. So I hopefully you took a lot of great takeaways from that call. And if you haven't watched it, please watch it. You really want to dive into that. Yeah, it's great to know about all the new packaging and whatnot, but they had good training on what you have to do from then on. So make sure to watch that training. Okay, but we are going to talk about the 21 Laws of Leadership book that Brittany Howard has graciously given us all these videos that we can watch, her takeaways, and we're going to do our takeaways from her takeaways. And so I think it's powerful because even if you don't have the book, you can still grab nuggets from these training calls. The training calls are less than an hour. You can have them on fast speed and done in 30 minutes. But make sure you stop, you take notes, and you really dive into a lot of those takeaways. Because if we're wanting to grow, we have to keep growing, right? So maybe you're here to grow in some areas and others and whatnot. But I really like when she talked about like, we want to grow. It's in every area, our marriage, our parenting, all of that. So just know, as long as you want to continue to grow, then your leadership lid will always be open. You want to make sure it's always open for that. Okay, so I'm going to ask, this call is going to be one, like I want you to block out an hour or less. Hopefully we'll be super less each week on that because mainly it's going to be a lot of engagement on here. We're going to be just sharing takeaways. I'm going to ask prompting questions that she asked, but I want to hear your takeaways. Yeah, we heard from their leaders, but what does it mean to you when those questions were asked? So this is going to be very, very open-ended. And if I don't hear from anybody, I might have to call you out kind of thing, because we want to hear from you. We want this to be something that you're going to walk away and take away from, and you're going to learn from because of it. So know that. So her first question, she said, was the law of the lid. So that was the first chapter. So chapter 1 was the law of the lid and why leadership is so important. She said, your leadership will determine your effectiveness. The lower the lid, the lower the potential. The higher the lid, the higher the potential. So where your leadership is and how high you climb and the more skills that you keep developing is where your lid will keep going. So what is your lid? What does your lid look like? You know, it could be goals. It could be the things that you achieve in life. It could be finances, whatever that is. As long as you keep growing that and building that, that is what's important. So we're going to do first. What was your takeaway when she talked about ducks versus eagles, ducks into eagles? I thought that was a great little nugget. And if you didn't catch that part, I hope you go back to it. But I want to hear when you heard her say that. I'm not going to say any more because if you would, it was the beginning of the call. So when she said ducks into eagles, what stood out to you at that spot? Anybody?
Hey, Casey, it's Ashley.
Hey.
When she said that, I think what stood out to me is I started instantly going through lists in my head. Like I feel like a duck. Like, I don't know. I just do, but I instantly started going through the people that I know that I thought were eagles that I look up to.
What? I'm going to keep prompting that really quick. What did an eagle look like for you then? Like, what made the difference for you?
The ones that aren't, I don't know, the ones that put themselves out there, the ones that go above and beyond, and that do, like you say, all the things, you know, because I I don't know. I personally feel like I live in so much fear of putting myself out there. And to me, the Eagles don't.
Yeah, I really liked, she said, Eagles, sometimes, she's like, I'm looking for Eagles that want to keep looking like better Eagles, ones that maybe they've been through a thunderstorm, they've gotten hit and their wings are hurt, but they're still trying to be an Eagle. They're still trying to do the work, still trying to move forward. I love that. Anybody else? It looks like Taylor said, Eagles are resilient. They are purposeful. Carissa said they put themselves out there. They go above and beyond, do all the things that aren't controlled by fear.
I was just writing down everything Ashley said as she said it, because I thought it was so good. And I know she's on she's the one that was on her phone. So I was just taking notes.
Yep. I love it. I think that they aren't controlled by the fear, because that's usually what holds a lot of people down, because they're afraid of what people are going to think about them when they post, or they're afraid about, what their family is going to think too. Right. And, we just want to be able to help the ones that are capable of really pushing past those limits and being coachable to keep moving forward. Anybody else on the Eagle part? And FYI, what I love about Genevieve is she really calls it out. And I think that's another Eagle that I look up to that tells it like it is. And so I'm going to be a Genevieve for a second. I want to see y'all's faces. I think it's super important when you're on calls to show your face. I don't care I might care if you're on the toilet or in the bathtub, but it's really important to show your face. And I think that it's important because if you show your face on a team call, it's going to really empower your team to do the same. Because when we're on here, it's interactive. I want to see you guys' eyes. I want to see what you're doing. I don't want to see your profile picture. So know that was in love, and that I really hope that I keep seeing your faces from now on these calls. So out of love. Okay. Besides driving, watch the road, Kara, but I just want to see your face. So, okay. Okay. Next thing. So the Eagles, anything else on that anybody stood out on that?
Well, it was helpful to me. Justin Goff always says that too. We're not trying to turn ducks into eagles. Mm-hmm. So he's always talking about how you've got to get out there and recruit stars, but it was helpful to me to hear her say they might be an eagle that's been through a storm, or they might be an eagle that's broken a wing, or that's dusty and dirty. And that resonated with me. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
And so it gives you a lot of compassion for the people that have, set big goals on your team and maybe not delivered on them. Mm-hmm. And rather than making that about you and how they've let you down, continuing to view them as the eagle that that they are, and help draw that out of them and believe that for them. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, there's just a difference in when somebody is viewing me because they want better for me and they know there's better for me, mm-hmm. versus they're disappointed in me. There's a big difference.
Oh yeah. And I think of that with our kids too. If we keep, showing them disappointment and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you've done this, then no, they're not going to want to keep trying to rise up either. And so I definitely took notes on that part too, because I feel like we all go through a thunderstorm and we all want to make sure that there's sunshine at the end, and not that there keeps being thunderstorms, as long as there's somebody to help carry us through and be that vehicle for us. I think of, we're in thunderstorms right now. We had it all today, hail, lightning. Jason's still at work. He left at 4 this morning because lightning struck his building. Right. But he, when stuff like that happens, I feel like as long as you're there to keep supporting them and keep moving them forward instead of having them put themselves going back, that's key. Because we all can do that. We can all be like, but I've got all this stuff going on and I don't see end in sight. Right. But if you're that motivator and that encourager and you can still see potential in that eagle, then help that eagle keep flying, even in their thunderstorms. That was huge for me too. And really making it about them and their season and not my own. So Carissa, I was right there with you on that too. I felt like, okay. I know they said they were going to do this and they really wanted to, and here I am holding them out and being that encourager and leader and pushing them every single day, and just things happen. And so we have to recognize that, but we also have to recognize excuses versus things happening too, because there is a difference between those two. So as a leader, you can recognize those things. Okay. How can you tell if someone is a leader or not? It was a great question she asked on that call. So how can you determine someone is a leader or not? And you can do the chat too if you need to, but.
A leader will actually look for solutions, and instead of just trying to manage things, they look for creative ways to actually find a solution to something.
Yep. Carissa said if they are growing. That was another thing she said on the call too.
A leader will also help cast a vision for others.
I feel like the leaders are those types of people that just kind of take off even when, like, before you even given any like direction. Like they're already doing their own thing and you're like, oh, okay. And sometimes that's a good thing. And sometimes it's something you have to go back and revamp, but it is a good sign, I think.
The willingness to learn and go above. Carissa says they aren't waiting to hit their goals by accident. They are intentionally working to pursue them. I took some really good notes on that part. I think it's at the end, but I agreed. Leaders want the best or what's best for their people, not for their own gain and promotion. Amen to that. Because this is a selfless business. Like if we want to be a leader, we have to pour into others to help build in their potential to grow. Again, I always pour that back into my kids. Like if I see potential in them, I'm going to keep growing them every single day. If we didn't do that for them, then where would they be? Okay. What are weaknesses in a leader that you might see? And what are symptoms to their Plexus business because of it? What are weaknesses in a leader?
A weakness could be inconsistency.
Taylor said self-gain, it's short-sightedness.
Maybe even showing frustration all the time.
I was going to say that short-sightedness that Taylor mentioned, like not recognizing the larger goal and sometimes setting your sights too short on a short-term goal that won't give you the depth that you need to have lasting success.
Right.
I've definitely been guilty of that in the past.
Well, I think this is what's great about this call. I think we've all felt guilty on a lot of these things that were in this call. But the thing is we can have shame or we can have game. And like, there's these two different, like, okay, shame. Okay. I can hide in my corner and like, oh, woe is me. I was a horrible leader. I did all of this wrong. Or you can game up and be like, all right, guys, I screwed up this, but guess what? Let's redo it. Because then if you keep redoing it and you're authentic in it and saying, okay, I really messed up. I'm so sorry, XYZ, and showing them that, then they're going to feel that as well. And it'll pour into them that like they can mess up too and keep going and keep upping their game too. So Patricia said, pointing blame on others. Yes.
I was going to say something to what you and Kara were just saying, which is that like we kind of are all guilty of this, where like when we become aware of an area where we've like fallen short in our leadership, like you said, there's this shame with it and we kind of run the other direction. But they were talking in the call about raising your lid every time you hit it. And it's like, that is the process. The process is failing as a leader, becoming aware of how you failed as a leader so that you can raise that lid, and then hitting your next limit and realizing, oh no, I am allowing this to limit me, and therefore I'm allowing it to limit my team. I now have to raise my lid again. And I mean, yeah, there's no shame in that. Like 2 years ago, Jessica Heffley gathered a group of us, Diamonds, and was like, guys, I have been feeling guilty about earning this much money while I'm laying out at my pool. And that has been a limit for me. It has held me back from earning any more. And so that was when she got us together and studied the Millionaire Mind book 2 years ago, not this last time, but it was an example of, she had capped out at $90,000 a month earnings and recognized it was a limit, and that limit in her was going to limit us. And so it's not, yeah, there's not shame in that, because it just keeps on happening.
Right. And that's what Taylor was saying, pretty much, like, we are the limit to our team. If we aren't growing, they're not growing. If we're not pushing past our limits, they're not pushing past their limits. If you're not being authentic and real in your situation and what's going on, like Jessica was, I bet Jessica touched more on her team by saying that than she thought. And so, like, that's raising their lids of like, okay, well, she's owning up to it. And, now it's her responsibility to move into it. And so raising her lid is going to help, obviously raise other people's lids. And so it's like a teacher. We're teaching. That's what Taylor was saying, is we have students, and we can't be up there being a teacher and not doing the exact same thing we're teaching our students too. We have to keep rising that. Okay. I really liked what she said here. She said, these are attributes. She said, not showing up as owners, in their ownership, not adding value, not growing, going backwards in development, not following through on what they said they're going to do. So these are attributes. Results would look like a pattern of a leader, like consistently doing a pattern of maybe disrespecting or drama in their culture or whatever that looks like. It's a pattern. She said team is doing as well as their leader is, which is what we talked about. Not cold market recruiting. She's talking about if she wasn't, she reached her limit with her reach outs. And she's like, if I'm not going to cold market recruit, and it doesn't have to be what we think a cold market recruit is, you have to get past that mindset too. That is truly expanding your network. Like, what more can you be involved in? Can you get into, like Julia, a mom stroller thing that she did years ago? Can you get into the gym? Find something that you are in, that you enjoy. If it's planting, gardening, I don't know, kayaking, whatever that looks like, that is growing your market to then expand your network. And so that's how you continue to grow. And she realized if she wasn't going to do that, her team wasn't. She might be teaching her team to do that. But again, she could teach her team all day long, and they're seeing that she's not growing or adding people every single month. Then it's going to be something that they're going to question, like, wait, I haven't seen, XYZ add anybody in a long time, but yet she's telling us to do all this work. Carissa said, yes, if I'm not making new friends, if I can't handle rejection from my prospects, if I don't know how to get people to work the business, how am I going to pass that skill on to my team? Exactly. We're going to get rejection all day long, but again, that's going to happen no matter what you do in life. I mean, even in a different business that you're doing, you're going to have employees upset at you because you got a raise and they didn't, or XYZ. It's just going to happen in life. But is it going to limit you, or are you going to keep moving forward? Okay. So another ask is what did I say? Have a leadership lid negatively affected something? Okay. Has a leadership lid negatively affected something in your business, and what stood out to you because of it? I know this might be a little bit vulnerable, but it's so true. And I will tell you, I wrote down mine because I'm like, okay, I've got to tell this. Mine's coaching. Every single time I'm like reaching into, I want to coach every single person on my team, and I do it individually as much as I can. It's a skill that I'm still trying to learn. And it's something that is a lid of mine that I'm trying to grow. And so it's something that I'm trying to work in on that. So what is something that you feel like is a lid on you that you're trying to grow, and it's not working like you're trying to get better at?
I would say that mine would probably be pacing myself because I find, and some of it might be what you're talking about, Cassie, in the sense of keeping up with everybody, because I find myself getting very overwhelmed and then withdrawing. And then I'm just like, okay, I just got to step back here for a minute. But then when I step back, I feel like I start to go backwards. And so I'm trying to pace myself on my daily tasks. And maybe that's something that you or, somebody has extra info that I can glean from. But that's something that I've really been when I was listening to that, that was one of the things that I could notice right off. I was like, oh yeah, that's me. My husband's always told me I had that problem. So
I think a lot of us can relate to that because I'm the same. When I get into overwhelm, I really have to like step back and realize and recognize, okay, what's overwhelming me? Mel Robbins is a really great person to follow on overwhelm. She has a brain dumping technique that I absolutely love. And I really try to do when that sets in. Cause I'm like, okay, wait, what's overwhelming me right now? And usually it's tasks. Usually it's like, okay, I gotta do this. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. Da, 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 tasks. And so when that hits me, I have to physically write down every single thing that's overwhelming me and then figure out, okay, what tasks can I get done first? And then I recognize like, okay, wait, this stuff can wait a few days. Like this stuff can be tomorrow. This stuff can be later. Like, okay, top priority leader call today, top priority brand call today, top, you know what I mean? Like those things, I can check in on my customers. Yes. But other things became a priority because I know I'm going to have more hours in the day to do the customer care stuff tomorrow. So really writing those things down will help pace you so that overwhelm, when it does come in, you recognize it, but then evaluate it and figure out what you can do to move forward into that. So it doesn't keep happening. I mean, it's going to keep happening. It's just recognizing it and then evaluating it of like, okay, really what is overwhelming me? Okay. Who else? A negative, something that's you feel like you've hit your lid.
I mean, I have so many. I related with Christina when she was like, it's never happened to me before. No.
I know.
Tiny mo. Recent examples would be a couple of years ago, I really had like defined my business as like, and we don't have to do events. We're not one of those businesses that has to do events. And I had not embraced that. And then when we launched into kind of doing events with new people, I just viewed it as really draining and really hard. And I felt like that lid of mine obviously sets the culture for the whole team. For well over a year, I have completely resisted trying to make a reel. And some of you, a couple of you have definitely embraced that, but that was something that it was like a big lid for me. That, negatively impacts my ability to network and market and all that stuff. So that's the two most recent examples I can think of.
Mm-hmm. I feel like sometimes those things we like roll our eyes at and whatnot. And then like months later, we're doing it and we're like, oh, fine. But okay, who else?
I want Kara to share hers from last month.
Why she's at the grocery line.
Totally. Y'all, Walmart twice in one day. Okay. Twice in one day. This is my life right now. Anyway, yes, Carissa knows full well that much of what I really struggle with, it's the reach outs and it's the like cold, if you want to call it cold. It's the cold reach outs or the warm reach outs to my market of just asking people, do you want this? Do you want what I've got? Do you want to do this with me? But that is rooted in being too worried about what people think about me. Like that's it. It is that simple, which seems like oversimplistic, but I think very highly of myself, clearly, and have been, too concerned about, well, this is the persona that I have, and this is who I am in the community. And, these are the people close to me who have very particular, strong ideas about health and wellness and what letters you have behind your name to qualify you being able to talk about those things. And this is what we think about diet culture and all these kinds of things. And I have been so cautious for so long to not really dip my toe into those waters, but I know there are people who can handle it. And if I'm willing to speak it and I'm willing to share it, then there are a lot more lives that can be changed. And so I had to finally just send a couple really big fish, some messages the end of last month, because Carissa was like, if you don't do the hard thing right now, I was like, okay. I took some real deep breaths, and I like, it was really one of those moments where the action I was doing was quite simple, but because it was such a hang up for me, because I've just been so consumed with people's opinions of, what my opinion will be when I speak it out loud. It's just really held me back. And I hit some really big goals for myself personally that I had never hit before in the 5 years that I've been in Plexus, because I was willing to just say what I actually think. And I was willing to just ask people whose opinions I was very worried about what they would think. Some big fish who I would love to do this business with. So that's it.
I think that's
Signing off from Walmart.
You're okay. I think it's huge, but because it's powerful, because then if you're doing the hard, scary things, then you're training your team to do the hard, scary things. And you can literally show them, screenshot and say, hey, look, I just did this. Can y'all pray? Can you do, like, I just did something scary. I'm about to sweat my pants or whatever. But the other thing is Jessica Heffley, I wrote it in the chat, but I did a call with her a few months back, and people pleasing was getting the best of me again. It creeps up every now and then. And she said, do you realize that people pleasing can be idolatry? And I did not think that at all, and she's like, if you think of it, really break it down, your day is consumed of what other people think of you. You're really worried that much about what other people think of you. You're becoming and making that an idol. And I was like, I never thought of it that way. And all of you guys are going to have an aha moment at some point in that, whatever is your hang up, that was mine. And so I really had to take that back and be like, okay, wait, I don't want to make that an idol of what, people worried, because nobody's going to like Cassie for all of me, right? There's never going to be somebody that just loves all of me. There's going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait, da, da, da. Anyway, but I thought that was powerful. And I'm proud of you, Kara, for raising that lid, because then your team is going to do that. Everybody's going to see that around you. Even people on here are impacted by that positivity and that bravery that you had, because it's going to carry through. The ripple effect is going to be huge. So I'm proud of you.
Oh, and Cassie, like on that day, I shared Kara an example from you where I had challenged you guys to voice message people about coming to convention, and you voice messaged 3 people, and one of them asked you, I just have to know, did you send that message to a bunch of people? Yes. Okay. And it was so cringy. It was one of those moments that you like have a nightmare that would happen to you, but tell everybody actually what went on there. Yeah.
Okay. So what I did is I created a video, because if you're like me, it's one of those, you're like, dang it, I forgot to send it to Julia. And I didn't want to attach somebody's name to it, because I really wanted it to be heartfelt and I wanted it to go to the right people. So I created a video and I really just said, I want you here with me. I want you doing this with me. I want to do life with you like this. And I knew, and I prayed about who that message was going to go to. Well, anyway, I sent it to somebody and she's like, okay, I need your gut honest opinion. Who else did you send this to? And I'm like, crap, how'd she know? Right? I sent Carissa, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Like, do I tell her yes? Do I say so anyway, and it was pure honesty. I said, yes, I did, but it's because you have the characteristics that I want on this and doing this with me. And she's like, okay, here's why I asked, because yesterday I prayed hard for new answers. And my mom said after she prayed that I would get an answer the next day on what I need to do. So you guys, I let a freak moment freak me out when in reality, it was for good. She just wanted reassurance of that prayer that she had been praying for, that message was truly for her and not a cold market message for everybody. And so it just gotten to a point in my business that I like my file in my brain can't remember everybody, but I know who needed to see that or who I wanted to be here. And I was so afraid to leave somebody out. And so I sent it to her, but I was honest with her and told her, it's like, yeah, I did actually send it to a few of my very close friends that I really want to do this with you. And so anyway, I thought that was powerful. So how fun. Okay. What else? Right here. Willing to be a disaster to become a master, right? Oh, that was good timing right there. All right. So anybody else, how can you lift your lid? The negative stuff that's going in your mind right now, how can you lift that? What's stopping you from lifting your lid right now? Come on, we can keep it going, because we all are going to be on here and we're going to keep lifting each other's lids from now on.
For me, is finding my confidence. I don't feel like I have good confidence in myself, that I can be a diamond, that I can, it's just building that confidence for myself, which then can trickle down to my people. I just got to find that way to build that.
So what are some steps that you feel like you could take to build that?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm kind of I'm in a valley right now. So I'm trying to find myself in my business.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of like in the whole branding earlier, I even wrote that down. What is my branding? I don't know. I don't have that. I feel kind of lost. So I've got to find myself. I think once I find myself, it will help boost my confidence,
Mm-hmm.
and I think would boost my business.
Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes, and I think they also said it, sometimes we can get so stuck on what our brand is that really it could just be Shara. Like it could just be you. And so don't get stuck on the brand part, because I feel like for especially me, my brand keeps evolving. I keep moving into things and more that God has called me into. And so I feel like you just keep posting and doing, and those things will keep coming along, and you'll keep realizing, like, what do I enjoy what can I impact or influence for other people that is easy for me to do? That kind of stuff. And I feel like that'll help with that and build that confidence. But I would love to hear everybody else's takeaways.
I think
Shara.
too-
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You're good. You go.
Well, Shara, I was gonna say, I think I know what you mean when you say confidence, because I used to think that's what it was as well. Like, I'm just not confident enough to feel like I can actually achieve emerald and sapphire and diamond and live that life and like consistently be leading a team at that level. And truly, like, it just sounds like the simplest, plainest thing ever. It literally is getting up and doing your work every day. And like, at least when you got a quiet moment and no one else is around, and you're like, so today, as a diamond leader, I'm going to do this and this and this, and I'm going to do it like a diamond. And when I do it, I'm going to look like a diamond. And when I say it out loud to myself, I'm going to sound like a diamond. And when I show up on this leadership call, having done all these things that I've done today, I'm going to feel like a diamond, because those little bricks in the building of this house that is me, that will be a diamond, that's what it's going to look like. That's how it's going to be. The other thing I will say is, I will echo what Cassie said. I dug really deep into the branding and the niche work and all of those things back in summer. I'm going to take these things out of my ears. Can you still hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes. Okay. And I did those things, and I was so pleased and grateful to hear what Shalene said not long ago, where she's like, well, and then also No Shame Sales Game said this the other day, and I was like, oh, I'm so praise the Lord, because I have been so stressed out about what is my brand. I've got to niche down. I've got to do that. No, my brand is me. When people join my team as a customer, they get me, lucky dogs.
Exactly.
When I show up when they need me because they've run out of product, I'm gonna deliver it by hand deliver it to them. When they're struggling in the depths of like detox and die off, I'm gonna stick with them through it. And when people join my team because they want the business, they're gonna want it because they want to do it with me, because they joined my team for a reason. So every day when I show up for them, I'm showing up as the person that they joined. I don't have to feel like I have to be anybody else. I don't have to be Carissa. I don't have to be Cassie. I'm just going to be me. And the more I have been leaning into that, even very recently, like really recently, last 2 weeks maybe, it has given me so much more confidence. And all I'm really trying to do is take the problems that I have solved for myself, the problems Plexus has solved for me, and flipping that around and sharing it with people. Like, this is my testimony. This is what it turned into. This is how I got into the business, and this is what it's done for my life. And if these things interest you, you should come sit with me. And that is my niche. And that is the problem that I solve. And that is what I offer people. I got way too bogged down in all that mess. You just keep waking up and living in this testimony that the Lord has already like laid out and provided for you, like a well-worn path. And you will show up being the leader that your team will need.
Agree. And I wrote a question down at the end. I was like, do you already know people are buying from you already because you have gained influence from them already? So because you've shown up, you've had that confidence. They see you as a leader already, or they would have joined from or bought from Sally Joe or who else. But no, they chose Shara because they believe and love Shara and all of her beautifulness. Like, you already gained influence from them. So, Julia, did you have something else to say on top of that, or?
I was just going to say that sometimes I feel like we get so bogged down in our future casts that we fail to look back to where we've come from too. Because if I remember Shara talking to you at the Super Saturday and stuff and kind of going over where you've come from, to me, it sounds like you've grown a lot. And sometimes we get so focused and hyper-focused on what our future goals are. You know, we don't know the time frame of that. Only God dictates that. And so we have to remember that we're blessed and we've come super far in that too. And remember that today's the day that we're supposed to do what we're supposed to do today. Like, you know, so just those little steps. I loved how, Carrie, you were saying just the little steps of, you know, future casting it in your mind. Yes. But also remembering how far you've come too in that. So just wanted to encourage you.
And that might be something that all of us can do, is like write down, what did you look like before Plexus? That doesn't mean health wise too. This is business. Like, what did you look like beforehand? Would you have read a book? Would you have like, exactly. So start writing those things down of how far you've come. And I can guarantee you, every single person on this call, every single one of you can write down more than 10 things that you have overcome or grown into because you keep raising your leadership lid and you're looking more towards the future. But, you know, like Genevieve says, you're getting micro commitments from yourself. Like, okay, today I can do this. Okay, tomorrow I can do this. It's little micro commitments to get you to the end result. I know you can't see it because Ashley accidentally sent it to me, but Ashley even said, I second what Cassie said. And it's true. Like, Ashley wouldn't be on your team. You know her story. She saw you confidently posting and whatever, and she came to you. And so know that that's huge. Okay. Anybody else? What do you feel like has negatively stopped you from raising your lid?
I guess we're not having to share things we've overcome. But one thing that really is popping in my head is like the fear that I've had a team and lost most of my leaders. And so it's like, there's a part of me that's like, that's going to happen again. And I know if I focus on that, then of course I'm going to make it happen again. But so trying to push past that and not take all the responsibility and show up.
And I think the overcoming part, like you, I can attest from watching you from afar or even close by because we live close, but you've definitely overcome a lot. I think seeing you do your 75 hard and really pushing yourself into things like doing groups and all these things that you would have never done before, you've accomplished a lot. But I feel like Satan is always like, but wait, you're going to lose them. Hang on, wait, I'm going to show something else for you can't do. And I think it's just pushing past that and saying, you know what, guess what? I can ninja kick your lid that you're trying to push on me. And it's finding the ways, that could stop you from that, and just recognizing the team you do have and the ones that really want to keep pouring and moving into their leadership led too. Taylor said, yes, girl, me too. Everyone's thoughts and stories are so relatable. Amen. I mean, if anybody's followed me, I've lost a ton of teammates on the way, and it still kind of creeps in like, okay, I'm going to rise up and grow this leader. And then guess what? I'm going to start all over again. Right. It happens. And that's how Satan works. He really wants to accomplish your mind, and that's what he does. So, okay. Anybody else? Now, the thing is, I really want you to recognize too, is how you're going to raise that. Like, what do you need to do to raise those negative thoughts or those negative things that are happening? Because that's the result. Like, you can keep that lid on, or you can figure out how to take it off. And what do you need to do to raise that? Like, what can you do? What steps can you make? That's why I was asking Cher, like, what does that look like? What can you do? So like Sherry, like, what can you do to kind of, when those thoughts creep in or think that, okay, I'm growing, my team's growing, but wait, like, what are some things that you feel like you could do to raise that and let that go?
I think one thing that's really helped me is getting plugged back in to things like this and being reminded, like, I'm not alone. And like, just having someone say, like, that's Satan. Like, those thoughts are not from God. Those are not empowering. That is not the truth. What if that isn't true? That's like a first step thought.
Yep. Very true. Taylor also said she has grown tremendously in all kinds of ways. And if you've been in this for a while, you've seen Taylor move mountains too. Like, I've seen her grow in the last 6 months. Craziness. Like, she's even talking about running and doing all this stuff now, and she's impacting other runners that are not me, but it's so great to see and watch because she's impacting her people. And those are people that are going to then relate to her and move into her and order from her because of her confidence in that. Okay. I like this one. Who has been a good lid lifter in your life, and what characteristics did they have? So pretty much, who's a good lid lifter for you, and what characteristics did they have? Like, what they do for you?
Mine is Megan Goff. And I didn't answer this before, but when I'm faced with one of my lids and I have the choice to just stay stuck there or raise my lid, it has helped me to come to the people that are growing, that are not small-minded people, but the people that are growing. Because when y'all are talking about like, worried about what people think of me, I went to church in person yesterday for the first time in a long time. And there's so many people there that have been horrible to me over the years. But honestly, I just don't care. Like, I don't care what small-minded people think of me. I don't care if I'm lonely in a room of small-minded people, because I'm at home in a room of people who are growing and amazing. And so I'm just like, whatever. But I mean, it hasn't always been like that. But anyway, so I go to my people who are growth minded and I say, hey, y'all, like, this hit me really hard today. I'm super upset about it. What perspective do you have? Like, what am I missing here? Or how would you think about it? You're growing. How would you think about this thing that has me like I've been hit by a train? But a lid lifter for me has been Megan Goff, because she is really comfortable like going there. I don't feel like I can't have the thoughts I have or have the struggles I have. Like I can absolutely have the struggles I have, or the overwhelm, or the life circumstances that make it feel impossible. And like she gets it, but she has a fresh way of looking at it that allows me to go, oh, well, maybe I can push for that goal and it just be fun. Or maybe I can view that issue neutrally instead of as earth shattering, you know, stuff like that. So.
Okay, who else? And when you were saying that, I was thinking of the thunderstorm and the eagle, like the eagles and the thunderstorm. And then that person is saying, wait, you're almost there. Hang on. What about these things? And then you come right out of the thunderstorm just fine. So anyway.
Carissa Casey, what up, girl?
Mm-hmm.
I would not be here from the beginning if it were not for her seeing whatever it was she saw in me. And I would not be picking the pieces up for like the 17,000th time and restarting if it were not for her.
Mm-hmm.
She sees the value in me and what I have to offer and what can be for me, even when I'm not in the midst of like, you know, really hustling, like really stretching myself, you know, and growing my team and growing personally. Like, even when I'm not in the midst of that, she's constantly challenging me to be a better person, asking me the curious questions to get honest answers from myself about why I do or don't do things, say or don't say things. It has helped my relationships tremendously because of the growth she has expected from me. And I'm forever indebted and overjoyed to be linked with her eternally. I'm going to quit because I'm going to cry.
I need to second that, like, because I'm telling you, Carissa, I don't know what I've in the last few years, there is no way all the stuff that has happened that I sometimes need just evaluation with, or like, hey, what are your thoughts on this? Or what do I do? Things like that. You just need that person to go to like reevaluate. And I am just so grateful for that from you, because if not, where else would I have gone? I mean, just, I look to you because you have those leadership qualities, because you can see outside the box, because you can see the things that maybe Megan Goff is teaching you and passing down. I have no idea, but it's been a huge gratitude from that. So I definitely second Kara on that.
And not to make it mushy, but I have to third it because I know, I mean, I'm never going to quit taking my products, but the fact that Carissa so many times has pointed out where I've grown, what she sees in me. And I mean, I'm with you, Kara, like, I'm like, why did she reach out to me? But you did, and you have stuck with us and just help push me where I need to be pushed.
Yep. And stuck with all the mess. That's what I was typing out. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I have to say, for me, it's been Cassie. She's always been there. She's always one that's consistently posting and showing us, the rest of us, that we can do it too. She sees something, and I know she sees something in me that I still don't see. And she just encourages me to keep pushing, even though I feel I'm not growing. I know I can do it. And she's always been there for me to just encourage me just to even be here on this call, you know, because I want to grow, and just, so yeah, so I just appreciate her and her personality, and I just love her. So thank you.
Love you, girl.
I second that. Love you.
Third.
If I start talking, I'm gonna start crying. So I just have to say, there you go.
I love it.
Yeah, Cassie, your encouragement and just, straightforward and just real. You're always very real. And I admire that so much about you and appreciate it.
Aw, thank you, ladies. I love it. Well, keep thinking about those kinds of things, because then that's what also your team is going to see in you. Like whatever those characteristics that you see in us, like that's what your team, like if that's something that you attribute leadership to, then that's something that your team will see as well, because you're carrying that down and whatnot. Okay, not cry. All right. We're running out of time, but I want to do at least a couple more really fast. We know what leadership is. People are not born as leaders, right? Like you can literally learn to be a leader. It's just the eagle in you. Are you willing to be an eagle? Are you going to stay a duck? Like keep moving forward in leadership. Leadership is influence. And every single one of you, if you have one person on your team, you have influenced one person. And so you already have influence. So remember that. Even when you feel like everybody's gone or fallen away and whatnot, you had them. You influenced them to come to you in the beginning. So don't think that you can't influence other people either. She talked about the myths. And, like the McDonald's brothers, they had the idea, they had everything other than to lead, right? They couldn't lead. And, if you don't know the McDonald's story, pretty much two brothers had the McDonald's idea, but couldn't take it anywhere. They couldn't keep going. And so somebody else swept in and took over. Let's go. I'm just going to ask, okay, what else stood out to you on this call? Like, what were you like, okay, the biggest takeaway from this 45-minute call that I watched was X, and this is what I'm excited about, or what I took away that I need to grow from, or whatever that is. What was that one thing that stood out to you? I'll tell you mine. I wrote this one down. I said, true leadership is the inner person and what they desire. Character is what stands out most. Being authentic, being real, having relationships with people, always wanting to learn, and having that intuition. Like we all know we can do what every other team is doing. But if you have intuition, be like, wait, my team can't handle that right now. Or wait, we need something different right now. Having that intuition of where to lead your team and what to do next, that is a leader. And that's what I wrote down, and that your stories and struggles are a blessing as long as you can overcome them, but also tell people about it. Be real, be authentic, because if you're not telling your struggles, your team can never relate to their struggles with you, ever. They need to know that you've been through the valleys. They need to know that you've been through the storm, because if not, then they have nothing to look forward to. They're going to keep thinking they're going to be on that mountaintop this whole time. And we all know that that is not the case in this or anything that we do. So what else? Chelsea said, growing into a leader takes steps, but we can do it. But we can all do it. That's true.
Okay, what I wrote down, biggest takeaway, was like at the very beginning of her call. She said, these are not just principles, these are laws. That means if you ignore them, it does not go well. Kind of like gravity. If you want to pretend gravity doesn't exist, you will still fall if you jump off the house. Ignorance of a law cannot be used as an excuse for breaking the law. Just because you're unaware of these laws doesn't mean you'll be able to violate them and still lead. If you ignore them or violate them, you're not going to be able to lead. So, yeah.
That was huge for me too, because it's so true. Because like you can keep making excuses all day long. Well, I can't lead a coaching call, or I can't lead a Zoom call, or I can't XYZ. It's a law to leadership. Like to grow as a leader, you're going to have to do the uncomfortable things. And so,
yeah, and it's not like, well, I'm not good at that one. Like there's 21 of these. I'm not good at those 5. I'm good at these. I'm not good at those 5. It's like, well, then you have to learn it. Yeah, it's not going, you're not going to accidentally be able to, still lead you. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you can lead to a certain point, but then you hit your lid, right? And so,
Correct.
and then I also wrote down, when you become aware of a lid or a limit that you've hit, invest in gaining the skills you need to raise it every time.
Yep. Isn't it great all the nuggets that we have, even not having the book in hand, like for real? Anything else? Any other takeaways really quick? Because I have 2 more questions and then we're going to close up because I really wanted to keep this at an hour or less.
I think that was mine, just when she was talking about them being laws and not just like an idea. Like that was something that I was just like, that makes sense. Like, it's not like, and it's not like a law, like you have to do this, but it's like just the way that leading is, it's just one of those things that if that's what you want to do, then these are the steps you have to take. So that stuck out to me a lot.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
I think one thing that stuck out to me, I really liked how she put, how do I lead the person to the results they need? Whether it's the business or weight loss or, whatever their situation is, you just focus on how you can lead that one person because everybody is different. You're going to have those that are just product takers. You're going to have those that start as product takers, but then can transition, and you can help teach them to be an eagle. But I think that stuck out to me too. And I'm like, okay, I already do some of that, but I feel like sometimes I feel pushy trying to find those business builders because I see more in some of my team. And so I have to take a step back and be like, okay, they were in it for this, so let's focus on that and then see where it leads to.
Yeah, I think that was huge. I think that was one thing that's like, meet them where they're at. Like, let's say they said, I'm going to hit this goal this month. Like, those things stood out to me in the beginning because you see so much in other people. And then when you don't see them hitting their goals they set, it's like, it's frustrating sometimes. We have to realize it's their story, their season, their reason. And I loved that takeaway too, because their reasons for starting or whatever could keep changing, and we just have to be there for them like a mama bird. I think of, again, everything goes back to the eagle. Literally, you're just going to be there and be like, okay, well, Patricia, I still see you flying, girl. I'm right here. Just keep going, and things like that. And so I think that, and think of it, when people keep believing in you, doesn't that motivate you and keep you going? Keep doing that for your team and keep doing that for your people, because the more that you keep seeing something in them, the more they're going to see it as well. Okay. The other thing that I really liked that she ended on, she was like, do you feel like you are really headed towards diamond? Like, are you actually saying those things? Are you showing your audience that? Are you showing your audience and your team and everything that you are headed there? You're not headed to just gold. You're not just headed to senior gold. Like, you have a higher end result. Yes, you have micro commitments as you go, but you're teaching and showing your audience a bigger picture of like, oh my gosh, when we hit diamond, it's because it's going to happen. This is what's going to be a blessing. We're going to be able to tithe more. We're going to be able to XYZ, like when we do. And so sharing the struggles with your audience, sharing, because it can be inspiring. We all love the struggle. I mean, think of it. Think of any movie you've ever watched and you're like, oh, I can't believe that happened. Oh, and you're like cringing because you're waiting for the good things to happen because they're going through so much, and you're waiting to the end because the end is always great normally, right? That's why we like those kinds of stories, because they're inspiring. The struggle is inspiring. So share that. And we learned a lot about that from the brand call today with Coolahan, whatever her name is, Coolahan something, Carissa.
Kula Callahan, but I like Coolahan better.
Hey, Coolahan works for me because it's kind of a smash. Anyway, she talked a lot about story. Now, Coolahan, why not? But okay, hang on. Anyway, talking about her story today and how like you are inspiring other people because of your story. So share your story because that's what's relatable. You can be a product ad for anybody else, but nobody's going to stop to that scroll, right? We want to show our struggles. We want to show everything. So are you headed towards diamond? I want to know in the chat, or like, yeah, just put in the chat. Are you headed towards diamond? Do you truly believe you are headed towards diamond? Because the only person that doesn't believe that is Satan. I'm just going to tell you that. Like, God would always want more for you. Everybody in this call wants more for you. You need to want more for you. Your family wants more for you. Satan is the one that wants to stop you. So he's the one that's trying to put doubt in your mind right now that diamond is not even a possibility. So I want you to really keep recreating that and saying out loud, because I love when Brittany kept saying that. She's like, my person told me that I had to say it every single day. I'm a diamond. I'm a diamond because of this. I'm a diamond because of that, like every single time. And I really liked how she showed her book too and what a leader looked like. And then now she's doing those leadership things and it's 5-6 years later. So know that, yes, you have a path to take and that path might be long or short or whatever, but you are a diamond. So I want you to really, really keep saying that and keep recreating that in your mind and in your thoughts and in everything that you do, because your team is going to see that too. You have to be serious of the end result. And keep saying it in your mirror. I said, what are you saying in your mirror? What are you saying in your mirror? I think that's so powerful. I have my team always try to write affirmations on their mirror, because what are you saying in your mirror that you see every single day to yourself? And then what are ways, okay, last thing, and then we can end. What are ways that you can steward your leadership this month? We have a lot going on, a lot, and it's a good thing, right? Don't get overwhelmed in all the things that we have this month. But what can you steward your leadership in this month to help raise your lid, to help raise your team up, to help offer what we have? We have the Depuff Challenge. We have the branding, the new branding that's coming. We have so many things to leverage on that could empower your leadership for yourself and your team, because of, like Kara said, you're putting yourself into action, and action trumps bad thoughts in your head, because every time action, you're doing something, it stops the negative mindset that you have in your head. So put yourself into action. Reels aren't that scary. Just do a 5-second one, be like, and I'm scared, bye. Like literally, I bet you everybody will love that one. So I'm telling you, that might go viral, right? Be like, I'm scared, click. Just do them. Every single one that's scary. Carissa, I'm challenging you. I'm going to see a reel now. Oh,
I've made 2.
what?
I think. You
Okay.
wait, you didn't know?
No.
Yeah.
I'll have to go watch now. I'm proud of you. Now you got to do another one. Okay. So think of things that you can do to steward, and you can do this on your own. Write this down. And I want to see and hear this. I want to know really quick. Should we make a chat? I know it's another chat, but do you feel like having everything in one spot would be fine in a leadership chat? Because we have 7 weeks, we have 7 calls of this, and there's other leaders, because every single one of you, a lot of you might be called to ask to just lead this and do exactly what I just did. And so some of you have already taken that leadership role. So thank you for that. But I don't know if it might be easier for us to just have everything in a small condensed chat or in a post. Tell me your thoughts on that really fast.
What do you mean a post?
Like we could just make a one post, which we kind of have, where all the recordings and stuff are on, but I feel like a thread is, it'll be just us in that thread is my only like if something pops out or whatnot, I don't know.
I'm okay with the chat. Another chat group.
Okay. Who else?
I don't know. I'm like full up on chats right now.
Uh-huh.
But so I mean, like I think like there's also a lot of value that like what we're garnering from this, even if people did not feel ready or prepared to jump into adding this call each week, you know, watching it, doing this call with us, even if they couldn't commit to that now, there still may be something that we could share in a more public space, like Leaders on the Rise or wherever, or Paladins, I don't know, wherever y'all deem necessary, where people can glean something from that. And it will give us a space to like brain dump. I would still feel like that's appropriate, but that's just because I'm kind of full up on the chats, as I said, but whatever y'all decide is fine.
I get it. Well, and some of those other chats are ending soon too. So that's the another thing that was just like, so. Okay, we'll figure it out. I don't want to keep everybody. But just write down tonight, what can you do to steward your leadership this month? Because here's the thing, you have to believe right now that your goals can happen. Usually at the middle of the month, this is what Genevieve says. She's like, the middle of the month is I believe. Because by the middle of the month, you already don't believe. You feel like, okay, the goal's not going to happen. We're already halfway there. It's, XYZ. If you don't believe that, your team doesn't believe it. So you have to pour belief into yourself and pour belief into your team. You can hit your goals. So how are you going to steward your leadership this month with everything that you have right now? So think about that. And I cannot wait to see you on next call. I believe Chris is leading that one. So I love you guys. And I'm so proud of you guys for coming. And thank you. Let's all rise up.